Okay, I'd like to call the Board of Public Works meeting of December 2nd, 2013 to order. First thing is ask if anybody is taping this other than LCAT. Seeing none. First thing on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
Which would be November 18th, 2013.
All right. So, do I hear a second?
Second the motion.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And the executive session for November 18th.
Make a motion to approve the executive session minutes from November 18th.
Second the motion.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Very good. Next on the agenda is Mr. Carabetta. Welcome, Paco.
Thank you. Gentlemen, let me give you a little history about my situation. 10 years ago, the town came to me and my neighbor and asked for an easement to come up through my property and her property, 12.5 feet on each side. We both agreed. At the time, she was told that she would have a no-cost installation for her sewer and water. I already had sewer and water, so it didn't make any difference to me. There was no benefit to me. I was just going to give the town an easement, 12 feet, so they could tie in all of Redstone and the remaining houses on Maynard Street. Well, the neighbor decided that they didn't want to do that. So the town came back to me in September of '03 and asked if I'd give them a 25-foot easement through my property so that my neighbor would be totally out of the picture. I did. I gave the town a 25-foot easement through my property. Now, the town had offered a no cost to my neighbor to tie into the sewer line. I already had sewer, I already had water. I then built a house and a lot behind my house. I subdivided my lot. I'm asking the town to reimburse me my $2,000 that I paid for sewer and water entry fees for the same deal that they offered my neighbor. Now, the town from 2003 to forever will be making money off of my my gratitude to the town. I gave the town an easement. The town's forever going to make money off of that sewer and water line. All I'm saying is give me back my money that I paid the town in compensation for what I had to go through for 2 years after they put the sewer line in. When they first put it in, the agreement was that I'd lose 2 trees, a very large evergreen tree and a hardwood tree. Those trees were replaced a year later. It took me 2 years to get a lawn because the company that did the sewer line put in fill rather than loam for the 25 feet by 450 feet. And thanks to John, all right, I got a lawn 2 years later because the town came in and had to correct what the contractor didn't do. So all I'm asking for is a return of my fees for tying into the water and sewer. Now, we did all the work except tap the water main, and I paid to have that water main tapped. We dug the trenches, we laid all the pipe, it's all our material. It didn't cost the town anything to tie the sewer in and run the water line. We had all the material there, we did everything. Now, we paid $262 for the curb cock and the tapping into the water line. So that's already been paid for. I paid $500. I got a overpayment check back from the town several months ago for the difference between the $500 and the $262 that I really cost the town. So all I'm asking is that, you know, it's an overpayment by me to the town. I really feel that I deserve to be reimbursed for that $2,000. I mean, I gave the town a lot, and all I'm asking for is to, you know, let me tie in like you were going to let my neighbor tie in at no cost.
So,
You want me to go first? You want to go first?
I'm just trying to get my dates straight here. Do you have all the dates?
I think in the previous minutes, they may be in there. They're approximately right.
July of
I'll concede
2003.
that to Mr. Carabetta.
July of 2003 was the original easement. In September of 2003 was the request for an additional 12 and a half feet of my property.
So in 2003, did we enter into a contract with you?
Yes, I have a copy of it.
There was a signed recorded easement.
Okay. So,
A 12.5 foot easement at that time, right?
In
You did this
July.
one?
June or July.
If I'm correct, there was only one signed easement, and that was the 25 feet. It was early on in the planning
Negotiation.
stages.
Yeah.
It wasn't even really that, it was planning stages when we were determining depths and locations of the sewer main, where Mrs. Wheeler backed out and said, no, I don't want it, because I have a well in my backyard, and she felt there might be some conflict between the well and the sewer main.
And even though Sharon had said, we'll run a new water main into the house and a new sewer line, she still refused because she was gonna lose a tree. That was the reason I got from her, is that she didn't want to lose a tree that she had in her yard, or the potential of losing a tree. But the town had agreed to tie her sewer and water in at no cost to her, just for that 12 and a half foot easement.
well, we as the town make no money on the sewer and water, am I right?
Of course you do,
We make money on it?
absolutely.
So it's
What do you have
a, it's a
What do you have in
profit?
your sewer and water budget right now? And where'd you get that money?
It's profitable?
Of course it is.
We turn a profit at that?
Well, we.
Or we pass it on as
no,
cost?
We put it into the sewer reserve fund for, and what we use it for is to subsidize big water projects. Like, for the longest time, we put away money because we knew that we were gonna need that 2 million gallon water tank.
Okay.
And rather than go out and bond the whole thing, we were using some of the surplus money every year to put into a fund to fund the shortfall. Now, what we do is when we set our rates every year, we look at what our surplus is and what our projects are coming up. And
Right.
determine, what makes sense, because we want to make sure that we've got some money in there to do it. And we look at it, and David in the past has done projections showing, at this rate of losing money,
Right.
our reserve is gonna get down, and then you say, all right, what do we feel comfortable with the reserve? And so we
Raise the
control-
water rates.
Right, and what we've done in the past few years is lower the water rate and increase the sewer rate, because they got out of whack. We kept the same amount, 'cause the combined rate was roughly $4.20 or something.
Right.
So it was $2.50 or something, and we had a big surplus in the water and a lesser surplus in the sewer.
So they do make a
So
little
we
bit-
corrected, so the taxpayer, the homeowner basically paid the same rate. It was just allocated differently because of the surpluses that we were building out. Well, we use it, I mean, there's no doubt that we use this money. It's not just sitting there and used for highway purposes or anything else. It's used in the water department for water projects. Most recently, capital planning has come to us and said, you can't, we want you to buy a vehicle using the water, one vehicle from water and one vehicle for sewer.
Right, I remember
Which we've
that.
never done before. And,
Yeah, because I remember you saying that. I thought that was pretty level funded.
So,
I think on this one, if I'm not mistaken, we talked about it. And I don't know if Mr. Gromadski ever heard back from Attorney Donahue, but
I mean, how do we change a
I kind of
10-year-old
remember that
contract?
I concurred that it made some sense. And Dave was gonna check with Attorney Donahue to find out if we could even do it, or how we would
Back
do it,
in
because,
September 18th of 2012, if I may, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Carabetta appeared before the board with basically the similar request. At that time, the way it was left, they agreed to table the discussion, and Mr. Gramaski would contact our council. The result of that discussion with town council was that it could not be waived because it was a license fee, and license fees are specific to the site, and they're not waivable.
It's a license fee, can you explain that? It's an interest fee. I've already got
The
a
tie-in fee,
overpayment
the
check from
the
town.
$1,000 fee that you pay for water and $1,000 for sewer, those are termed license fees. That is the permission for the town, so to speak, to tie into the sewer. They're not considered use fees, it's a license fee.
And how did you grant my neighbor free access then? How
And
did the
who is
town
that?
grant Wheelers free
We did not.
access to sewer? Yes, you did. That was the condition for the easement, that they would be no charge to them for sewer and water.
If they gave the easement, but they never gave the
Here's
easement.
what we have
But
to do.
that
I-
was the condition.
Right,
I
but-
gave you the easement.
Right, so let's not get heated here, let's go back to what we have to do. While I agree in concept, we have to go back to the council and figure out how we can do it, if we wanna do it, because if I remember correctly from some of that meeting, or at least a brief conversation with Jim Donahue or something, if it was a part of an original contract for an easement, that was a piece of the puzzle. But because it wasn't, and it was a license fee, and it was paid, Jim Donahue wasn't aware of how we would construct the rebate, if you will, because it's a license fee that you can't just give back.
You'd have to rewrite
So we
the
gotta figure out,
10-year-old contract.
if in fact we wanna give them, we have to figure out what the vehicle is that's legal for us to enter into, so to speak, with
During the
Rocco.
negotiations for an easement, you are eligible to waive fees at that time, but that is during the negotiations.
So that's what we gotta figure out,
So when we originally approached you and you didn't have any, in my understanding at least, you didn't have any plans on the table for developing the back lot, so to speak, and it was never discussed at that time.
That's true. I've already received a overpayment from the town for the $500 to tie in the water line.
Right, that's considered a deposit. So the 1,000 is a license fee, the 1,000 is a license fee, the 500 is a deposit, and then any overpayment in that deposit for materials and supplies is rebated, so that's what happened. So now we gotta figure out if the board wants to,
Well, it's can we, first of all, we should find out, can we? Because there's no sense in saying we want to and then find out we can't. Let's find out
Right,
from Jim
it's-
Monahan whether we can or can't.
what would be the vehicle if we wanted to?
Yeah, can we?
Can we do it?
Right.
And that, I don't think we heard closure to that other than you can't, so we gotta go back and say,
So.
is
my
it totally
suggestion-
impossible, is there any other
My
thing?
suggestion is we table it to the next meeting, we have Jim Donahue research it and come back in and we meet on it again. And that way he gives him some time to research it, because I don't wanna make a commitment without
I understand.
council being here.
But you gotta realize, I made a lot of sacrifices for this town,
So,
all right? And for 2 years, I had a backyard that was completely cleaned up. I mean, I had rocks this big around when they put the fill in rather than loam to replace my lawn. I mean, you couldn't mow it, it was that bad. You can ask John. I mean, he came in and had to rake it all out and put loam in there so I could have
Right.
a lawn again. So
I
think-
get all that, we just gotta, figure out if there's a way to do it. Cause I kinda remember, I mean, it's not a year ago, but it's a while ago, right?
Yeah, maybe.
More than a year, I guess it is more than a year ago when the last I really kinda heard about it, so.
do we wanna set our next meeting next, and then we can
Sure.
let Rocco know, and 2 weeks is December 16th. That works for,
Can we do it on a Tuesday?
I can do it on Tuesday, 17th.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so the next meeting will be December 17th at 5 o'clock at the service building here. And we will have you on the agenda. Does that work for you, Rocco?
December 17th?
Yeah, 5 o'clock,
5
5:05?
o'clock. Gotcha.
Okay. And we will, we'll have Jim Donahue here, and I'll have him be prepared to address the issue.
Don't y'all love these gadgets, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Done.
5 o'clock?
5 o'clock here. Okay. Next on the agenda, we have.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
All right,
You're
Rocco.
welcome.
Take care.
Next on the agenda is to award the annual resurfacing bid. And who handled it? Did you handle that, Mr. Kennedy? or did you-
No, that would be, Mr. Morandi handled that, but there were
Uh,
2 bids received, one from,
yeah, one from Palmer Paving for $606,005.30. And Lane Construction was $686,568.05. So, we reviewed both, and Palmer's done the majority of our paving in town, so I guess being the low bidder, it would be awarded to Palmer Paving.
I recommend we award the contract to Palmer Paving Corporation for $606,005.30.
I second the motion.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, goes to Lane. Under other business. Let's see here, streetlights. I have been in touch with our chief of police, and found out that the police department, starting in June, have been doing the streets, some streets. He sent me over 5 spreadsheets. Sergeant Bruno was in charge of it on the 3rd shift. In June, they submitted a list of 12 streetlights that were out in July 8, August 7, September 4, and October 12. The process is that Sergeant Bruno or one of his men turn in a report to Sergeant Bruno, and it is then submitted to the chief, and a copy is forwarded to Nick Bro, and a copy is forwarded to Corey in our office. And it is Corey that has been calling, or submitting the streetlights out to National Grid. So we also have, on the spreadsheet, there's a column for reported, and there's a column that has not been gone back to see whether they've been fixed or not. So that's something that he's gonna send the guys out to do and see whether these have been fixed or not, so.
All right.
They are moving on it a little slower than I would have liked, but I was hoping to get a little more of these done, if they could move or at least do more in a course of a month, and 4 to 12, but it is being done, and I have a list that I did when I was out riding around, and I'm gonna compare it to this and just submit it to Sergeant Bruno, just so he can add it to the list and speed it up a little bit. But it is being done.
I mean, how long do you think it should take them?
I think if you hand them July's list, these are the 12 or 14 that are out, I would think that they should be able to fix them in 2 weeks.
Right.
I did
So-
speak with somebody from National Grid myself also. I didn't realize this was the process also. I spoke to Joanne DeRose from National Grid, and she's been in contact with a few people from town regarding the streetlights, and is sending out her line foreman to address all the streetlights. We currently have 1,101 streetlights in town, and a cost to the town of roughly $8,000 a month we're paying for those lights to be on.
11,000, how many?
1,101.
1,101.
And I did talk to Mike Thompson, because we do not own those fixtures, we do not qualify for any incentive programs for those, unfortunately, unless the town wanted to purchase those.
We don't.
Yeah.
Well,
So anyways, I told Joanne about the board's displeasure and why these, all these lights are out, and she said she was gonna get somebody on it also.
Good.
So,
There's something, there's something there. Order of conditions, do we have anything in that?
It is not in this week, I do apologize.
Okay. Also, we have, John, I know you went to the Appropriations Committee meeting last week or so with a letter to them about our lift for our vehicle, lift here at the service building that is now officially dead. And they were very busy, and you just wrapped it off, and they contacted me later. Rocco Carabetta sent us a list of questions, and tonight he showed up before the meeting. We were just in there looking at it. He understands that the way we feel, that this was unforeseen. It is like a building losing its boiler. It can't wait. We need it. The last few months have been the lightest time of year because we're just picking up leaves. Now we're going into our roughest season, plowing snow and sanding, and all the trucks take a beating. And that, you know, if a truck goes down and we don't have a lift, it means we're gonna have to send it out. And if it's go to a dealer and sit in their yard because we don't have an appointment, and they'll do it whenever they can get around to it, and also pay a lot more money because they're probably getting $90 an hour for a mechanic. So just trying to impress upon the severity of the importance rather of getting this and getting it ASAP. John has been working diligently to get some quotes, and because we need 3 in order to get official prices. And I think they're coming from, you can talk about more, John, the state bid list.
Excuse me?
Aren't those on the state
Yes,
bid list?
two of them are, yes.
Okay.
We have the one quote that I gave everybody copies to, and everything done was $96,000. Now, they came in and, let me get my things together here. They came in and actually did an inspection of the lift, did a little bit of a breakdown on the physical part of the lift itself, and that the concrete in the bottom is rotted out, the pistons are gone. The other companies that I've contacted, because this has been, it's been in a rush, more or less. I've got them to give me some numbers, but not, it's been very difficult because they too want to come in and see what's here before they commit to a firm number as far as installation of one of their lifts. They're all from Massachusetts. The ones I contacted today, you have BMS.
Yes.
Mohawk gave me a price of $83,421. And I have Challenger. Now their price is $67,672, which is by far and away the lowest. But again, they were very, very reluctant to give me a price. I said, just give me a price on installation of a lift of at least 52,000 pounds installed, kind of sight unseen, and that's what they gave me. It's a-
50 or 52,000? Because the other
50,
one,
50,000.
yeah,
It's-
because the first one was 50,000.
Yes,
so-
50,000. I think the first one was 23 to 50,000.
Okay.
One of them actually exceeds that, one is 18 to 60,000. But the other, our minimum requirement was 50,000 pounds. The lift we have that's failed was 42,000 pounds. And of course, the internationals that we have are 42,000 pounds.
Also, in the quote from BMS is it's just an estimate, it's not a firm quote, of $8,900 to remove the hydraulic lift that's in the ground now. And John said that that's something that we could do in-house and save us that expense.
Does it have hydraulic oil or vegetable oil in there? Yeah.
So we can do that. So we're working on it. I've talked to our new rep this year from the Appropriations Committee is Jim Broderick. And I've been on the telephone with him again, talking to him. And again, saying that it's something, I don't know how we're gonna pay for it or.
We're headed there at 6:30, right?
We're capital.
Oh, capital tonight.
Oh,
Yeah, we're capital tonight, but I just told John, just keep working on it and get some numbers so we really have something while it's going through the process of how we can pay for this. We can't wait for annual town meeting and then
put it out to bid.
put it out to bid and get it in August or September
Right.
or a year from now. It's gonna cost us too much in sending all the vehicles out, getting towed over there, $300 to $400 a piece to tow them over and then let them sit there until they can get to them. So just want to let the board know that I've been working with John and the capital plan and the appropriations committee to try and move this along as fast as we can. The other thing is that I did talk to Jim Broderick, again, appropriations, and he wanted us to be aware that right now, when it comes time for the budget, they're looking at only a 1% increase this year, and that the auditors for the town in the town audit, again, have recommended that the water and sewer fund be put into an enterprise fund. And that's something that we just have to sit down and talk about what's gonna be in it. But he just wanted to be aware that they wanted to talk about it this year. Anything that you guys, I do want to go into executive session.
Okay.
But-
Just the early dismissal for Christmas dinner
Oh, but, yep,
on December 13th. I get a letter from Roy Esposito here, right?
Yep.
For December 13th, 1 o'clock, for their annual Christmas dinner. And they acknowledge that if it's snowing or sleeting or whatever, an emergency arises, they'll have to be available for the standby requirements. And we're all invited to attend.
okay.
Thoughts? That's good with you? Who knows what day it's gonna snow, so,
they've always been good.
yeah. So,
Friday the 13th.
Just need a vote? or just-
we just approve it. I mean, I'll make a motion to approve it.
I second the
All right,
motion.
all in favor?
Aye, and they deserve it, and happy holidays.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
You have anything?
One thing briefly, we did receive notice late last week that I reviewed today from our friends at DEP. It's entitled Notice of Audit and Request for Site Inspection. This refers to an oil spill that occurred at the Allen Street pump station just about a year ago now. It was in January of last year. What happened is we had a spill of about 200 to 250 gallons of oil. The day pump, the day tank running the generator, because it was an emergency power situation, called for fuel, and that worked, but it did not shut off. And as it filled the day tank, apparently there is a galvanized piping running up as an air vent. The oil traveled up the air vent right through the block wall to the outside where it was vented. And the oil ran down the building onto the ground, and for the most part, stayed right around the driveway area and a little bit in the tree belt area. So we had a cleanup that we underwent under DEP's auspices last January and February. We removed about 2,000 cubic yards of contaminated soil.
2,000.
I can double check that, but or is it 200?
Maybe 200.
Yeah,
It wasn't 2,000.
I can tell you in a moment, sir.
Yeah. So this is just a re-inspection.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is what I believe to be a
A
random audit.
Yeah, I've been to those, I've seen them before.
So we have all our paperwork in order.
They just re-inspect it, reinsure all the abutters that it has met all the requirements.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is in there.
Yeah, it's not too, I doubt it was 2,000 yards.
It's the bill of lading. $2,000 tons, 200 cubic yards. Yep.
Okay,
So let us know how we make out
Absolutely.
on that. Mr. Finney, you have anything?
I
Greg?
do have a couple items. We did have the walkthrough for the Pine Knoll Pool today. I had only one contractor show up. It wasn't a mandatory walkthrough, so don't worry. We had 19 people that pulled specs on the project. The bid opening is on the 11th next week at 10 a.m. Also, the renovations for the inspection services office is underway. All the electrical has been roughed in, sheetrock taped, so probably another couple weeks we should be done with that project also. Another item, we did meet with the designer selection committee last week regarding the Meadowbrook electrical upgrades. We did select a firm, but until I meet with them and negotiate their fees, I will not disclose that firm until that process has been taking place. And then at our next board meeting, I'm sure I'll be recommending a firm to start that project.
Good.
That it?
That's it.
John, anything?
Well, we've wrapped up our large projects for the year. Water mains completed, services around, we've done all the cleanup on the lawns, living and seating, those types of things. Sidewalk job is done for the season. Right now, we're doing, while the plants are still open, we're doing main road repairs, any potholes, any imperfections that we can find. We're also repairing structures, which we still have a few out there that need to be fixed up. So we're very busy, but in good shape.
Yeah?
Sounds good.
good.
Motion.
Other than, is it Bob's first meeting?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking we might want to introduce him.
All right. With us tonight is our special guest, is Bob Parent, who has been selected to be the next superintendent of Public Works, officially January 6, 2014. So, welcome, Bob.
Welcome, glad to have you.
Very good to be here.
Thanks.
Yep.
So,
And then I'll make a
It's all
motion
good.
Motion, I don't know if you want to say anything. You're more than,
No, I think it's, you know, this is all part of the learning process.
Yeah.
Hearing everything goes on, understanding all the history, so it's all good together.
No big speech, huh?
when he gets on the other side of the table, we'll let him go.
So, this empty suit over here. Tonight.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the regular meeting to go into executive session for personnel matters not to return.
Second the motion.
All in favor, by roll call, Mr. Mayberry?
Aye.
Mr. Wilson?
Aye.
Mr. Barrett? Aye.